Remember the old days of filling out an application, going for an interview or two, and getting an offer for a job? Well, there's been a shift. Times are changing. Companies are stepping up their efforts to attract the best job candidates and upping their standards for hiring. Recruiters are heading to college campuses well ahead of senior year, and they're offering jobs plus a little extra. We talked with an employer and a group of 80 students from 35 schools nationwide who have come together in Hancock County, Mississippi. They're there to talk about their future and at the same time to help rebuild a community struggling to get back its footing after being devastated by Hurricanes Katrina and Rita more than 2 years ago.
A typical spring break in Florida, partying and working on your tan. A not-so-typical one in hurricane-devastated Hancock County, Mississippi, working on your future and helping those in need. Wake Forest University junior John Zanekis hopes this spring break will help him land a job when he graduates.
So while they are showing me kind of what they're about, at the same time I'm going to try to bring to the table, things that I can bring. And so if, in the future I do try to pursue opportunities with them, that they kind of feel like, oh, I remember John from the alternative spring break, and this is kind of what he brought. And, it's kind of a good reference point for them, something outside just a resume, an application online, and an interview. They have this other kind of extracurricular aspect that, they know that I bring, and they know kind of more what I'm about personally.
John, who hasn't committed to Deloitte beyond this week, is one of 80 college volunteers taking part in Maximum Impact, Deloitte's alternative spring break program. It's a new approach to college recruiting. It lets students work side by side with company employees while working in an area that desperately needs the help. United Way organizes the rebuilding projects, but Deloitte foots the bill to get the volunteers into the area. Some students work on rebuilding the flattened home. In another part of the county, some are helping a town figure out what's left.
Yeah, this is probably number 2 right here. This would be the driveway. So this is 123. I'm going to put this down.
Yep.
This group is doing some topography, remapping the area hardest hit by Katrina, the town of Waveland. It was almost completely wiped out.
Is this something you were interested in doing before?
Definitely interested in doing, and it was great that Deloitte combined this with United Way so that we can meet all the Deloitte professionals, but then also to service.
Right now, I feel it's really more about the rebuilding and the working with the houses and our projects rather than the, career aspect. I mean, definitely getting to know the company is one of my objectives, but first priority here right now, I think, is to just do the project.
Deloitte, which hires 6,000 undergraduate and graduate school grads each year, geared up this recruiting program after its recent survey found nearly 2/3 of Generation Y students want to work for companies that give them opportunities to volunteer.
Companies are all selling and positioning themselves, trying to attract talent, and we think the best way to do it is to show them. So we're here just trying to show them this is what our organization is about, and we care a great deal about the community. So Deloitte can give you those opportunities if you decide you want to do this as you continue your career.
While Deloitte doesn't grade the volunteers, students will have a chance to show leadership skills, initiative, and talents that might not be so apparent on a resume. So maybe when they graduate, they'll get their chance to climb the corporate ladder.
Now, just to give you an idea of how much Generation Y, which, by the way, is the under 30 crowd, wants to give back, 640 students applied to Deloitte for this spring break program. As we said, 80 were selected. And I have to say their help was desperately needed. The devastation along that coast, it is unfathomable. And 2.5 years later, it seems as though very little has been rebuilt, especially in some of the very lower income areas in New Orleans. So take a cue from these students. Get down there and volunteer. I did in December. We're going back. Help is really needed. One of the most rewarding things I've ever done.